Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
All right, here we go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a spooky Monday. That's right. Happy Halloween, everybody. Chris has come dressed as a Packers fan because it's terrifying.
You thought of that, like, what did you think of that in mid-October?
Oh, I was waiting for it. Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, and of course, A5 Anthony behind the glass. And from Chop Studios, we got ourselves a loaded show. Another week of football has come and gone, and we hope you guys made some serious coin over the weekend using the Mojo app, which, again, you can download right now on the old iTunes Apple Store. It's free, and of course, we're giving out stuff day in and day out. They're giving you free shares, free money to use just to get started. So go on over to the App Store, download the app. You can also check out mojo.com, follow us on all the social medias and all that jazz too. So we had ourselves a fantastic week 8. Most of us. And the trade deadline's tomorrow, so that's a big deal when it comes to the Mojo market because, again, we're going to be talking about today's top movers as we always do. But, again, these movers will move with significant actual transactions in the NFL. There's a lot of guys who didn't see a lot of volume yesterday or guys that went on record and saying they don't get the ball. You know, there's a lot of things going on, Chris. How was your week 8, man?
My week 8 was decent. I mean, I expected a loss going into Buffalo.
Sure.
The Packers covered the point spread, and I'm not here to say I'm celebrating a moral victory.
Don't do it.
Because there's no such thing as a moral victory in the
Only
NFL.
when the Cowboys lose to the Bucs.
But it was nice to see that the Packers weren't completely at each other's throats at the end of that game, and they were having a good time. So if I notice that the Packers are having a good time taking a beating, I'm going to have a good time taking a beating as well.
All right.
If they don't mind, I don't mind. Let's just have some fun with the rest of the season.
Absolutely. All right. So, obviously, the top movers of yesterday, before we get into the specifics, I know there's going to be a lot of guys who are like, how can you not talk about this? How can you not talk about that? How can we not talk about the fact that Christian McCaffrey had the trifecta yesterday?
Yeah,
Throw
man.
was one, passes one, rush. I said passes already. Passes one, receives one. The guy is doing it all over there, so I'm excited to see what they do over there in San Francisco.
The ball that he threw was like a dime.
Yeah.
It was an actual dime.
Absolutely.
Christian McCaffrey looks like he could actually play quarterback. And if Jimmy G got hurt, is Christian McCaffrey a better option than Mr. Irrelevant in Brock Purdy? He might be.
That's interesting. Definitely.
Interesting stat. Brock Purdy is the first and only Mr. Irrelevant to complete a pass in the NFL. Ever. His first attempt was a completion. Okay. And guess what his second attempt was?
It was a pick.
A pick.
All right.
A pick.
Obviously,
Irrelevant.
It's also a funny joke because as far as the NFC is concerned, the NFC East is looking great, but the NFC as a whole, okay, the division leaders going into this next week, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Falcons, and the Seahawks. The Seahawks, by the way, that's how I pronounce it today. Just the way we drew it up. That's 100% what I had predicted in the beginning of the season, so I am Nostradamus again. All right, let's get to the first top mover. Yesterday, in a losing effort, we'll get into the actual specifics of the loss, but Foreman had himself a day yesterday. 26 rushes, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yesterday, moving up 17%. He was basically pennies before yesterday, but now... I believe Chuba was hurt.
Chuba was out yesterday.
Yeah, so that's opened the door for a guy like Foreman.
I wouldn't say that Foreman is going to see more or less carries when Chuba comes back. I think Chuba Hubbard is essentially the Tony Pollard to the D'Onta Foreman being the Ezekiel Elliott in this equation. Last week, they were both active, and D'Onta Foreman still eclipsed 100 yards. So I don't think Chuba Hubbard's presence or lack thereof is going to change things much. There might be a couple vulture touchdowns for Chuba if he is, in fact, healthy. But I just still see D'Onta Foreman. The way he was running yesterday, he has some burst, and that dude's a load. Down low, they're going to be giving him the ball. Carolina, they're playing against some bad teams this year, so there's going to be some value. I think there's time to kick the tires out of D'Onta Foreman.
Yeah, I mean, right now, sitting there at $4.50, very, very low, and he's an RB1. So if you're talking about volume and you're talking about opportunity, this is the guy to do it, and I would strongly suggest it. But, man, oh, man, it's hard not to talk about the Panthers game without the end of that game.
Yeah, I know, man.
DJ Moore has obviously been in rumors about trade talk, and if that wasn't your swan song of getting kicked, almost just You catch that beautiful touchdown pass. PJ Walker, by the way, one of the guys trending up as well on the market. He catches a dime for the tie and then takes his helmet off. My only defense was maybe he thought the game was over. You know, like it all read 0-0. But even the game wasn't over.
That's a bad defense. I mean I don't think he's making that defense. He sat there pretty much motionless on the sideline after that happened for a good couple minutes. I felt bad. DJ Moore is one of my guys, but it's good to see that he performed. I don't think that's going to affect him much in the Mojo market. Right?
Yeah, no.
Taking the helmet off, I don't think that's really going to take. And really, I mean, DJ Moore probably turned to his teammates and was like, guys, that's how you tank. Now, that's how you tank. That's how you do it, baby. Because the Carolina Panthers are, in fact, probably better off losing that football game. So DJ
100%.
Moore, we should be having a party for DJ Moore in Carolina because come draft week in April of next year, I'm pretty sure that everyone's going to be looking back at this DJ Moore moment and be like, thank goodness, because now we're picking ahead.
Can you imagine if it's a one-game separation between the number 1 and number 2 pick, and all of a sudden you get your quarterback of choice because of DJ Moore and his blunder?
There's some bad teams in the league right now. I think Carolina effectively played themselves out of the first pick, guaranteed. There's going to be some teams that don't win many games.
Interesting. All right, moving on to my guy. Tony Pollard had himself a day yesterday. The Dallas Cowboys just completely kicked the crap out of the Bears, 49-29. Tony Pollard goes and, look, right before the game, I want to say, like, up until about Saturday night, everybody was still thinking, Zeke's got a shot. Zeke's got a shot to play, and he was trending upward all week long as far as injury is concerned, not so much the market. But Tony Pollard got the call, and he said if he got the call, he would bring the haul. What?
If you call it, I'm a haul it.
That's what he said. That's what he said. And he did just that. 14 rushes for 131 yards. He caught a ball for 16, 3 touchdowns, 3 visits to the old pay dirt goes Tony Pollard. Now, the question I ask is this. He's up 4%, but if you smack the multiplier on him, you're up a lot more. $12.18. A lot of people are already, the whispers, it's God forbid the Cowboys get a win and there's not a controversy, right? Like, everybody has said for years that Pollard was the, quote, better back. I'm here to tell you and pour all the cold water on it that he's just a really, really good supplemental back to Ezekiel Elliott. Both of those guys need to be playing on the game. And while, like I said, 20-point win is a 20-point win. Over a bad rush defense in the Bears, absolutely. The Bears' rush defense, 29th in the league going into yesterday. So I expected a full dose of run. But in this regard, Chris, you kick the tires on Foreman. Are you kicking the tires on a Pollard because of the fact that every time he touched the ball, remember, he only had 14 touches, and he turned 3 of them into touchdowns. So are you in on Tony Pollard?
I think that Tony Pollard, there's a chance that if you look at Zeke's contract, there's a very good chance.
That's the big thing.
There's a very good chance that come off season, if you want to just get this season out of the way, and I think Tony Pollard could be the incumbent starter in Dallas come next season.
Well, he's also a free agent.
Well, I think that he's a little cheaper, and if the Cowboys are going to pay one, either it's going to be a Zeke restructure, which I'm not sure he's.
Maybe they restructure to pay Tony Pollard. Keep them both. Probably not going to happen.
I don't know. I still don't see Tony Pollard as an every down back. I think he's perfect in the role that he's in, and I think that what we've seen out of Tony Pollard is he gets nicked up too. This is the NFL. Everybody's getting hurt, and Tony Pollard, he had an ankle issue last year that pretty much kept him.
I think he had like plantar fasciitis.
In and out of games. I know that he had a lower leg issue. We'll call it that, right? Lower leg. And for that reason, I just don't see him as the guy that's going to be able to take 20 carries a game. That's why he only had 14 yesterday.
Well, if you think about it, Ezekiel Elliott, now look, the Cowboys are 6-2. They're rolling right now. Ezekiel Elliott's only seen 20 carries, more than 20 carries once this season. All right. So it's they're doing it by committee. Nobody's getting the full workload.
I agree. And that's also because, there is a Tony Pollard present.
True.
In that offense. So you don't need to put Zeke in there for 20 carries a game. And that's the whole recipe here in the NFL. You can't, no running backs are able to withstand 20 carries a game for however long. You guys see like Derrick Henry, he did it for a little bit, but eventually that injury catches up to you. And Derrick Henry, shout out to him. He's actually
another unbelievable game. And just to give an idea where Pollard sits right now he is literally 1 penny short than Najee Harris, RB1 in Pittsburgh. And then he's about 17 cents more than Kenneth Walker III, who also had himself a day yesterday. But again, he's smack in the middle of those guys, and those guys are clear-cut running back ones. So if you think about it, Pollard's value can only go up from here. I mean, he's on his way. He's still a young guy.
I think Tony Pollard at least played himself into a guaranteed role wherever he ends up somewhere next season. So you're going to see Pollard getting the football in a I would say if he picks the right spot and it's not Dallas, I mean, all the the speculation goes like, where is he going to end up because he's in his walk year? I think he ends up in Dallas regardless, and if he does, it could mean that Zeke is gone. So Tony Pollard, yeah, I would buy on Pollard right now.
Go long on Tony Pollard, multipliers, all that good stuff. He's going to get the ball a plethora of times. All right. Moving on to another NFC East beast, and that would be A.J. Brown. This dude is on pace for just 1,000,000 yards. Right now, through 3 games, guys, 3 games only, 659 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's on pace for double-digit touchdowns. He's obviously on pace for over maybe 1,300 yards. Yesterday, goes for 11 targets. He catches 6 of them, makes every single one of them count. 156 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns, averaging 26 yards a catch. This guy, look, we all knew the Eagles were up to something on draft night when they traded for this guy. They felt like they can squeeze everything out of him. And through 8 weeks of football, Chris, now at the Mojo market, he's up another 7%. He's putting himself in the upper echelon of receivers in the league.
Yeah, he's having himself an all-pro season. I say that meaning like not a Pro Bowl season. He's an all-pro right now. A.J. Brown, arguably the wide receiver 1 in all of football. There's been guys that came into the league, the Justin Jeffersons, and we expected those. And honestly, I expected A.J. Brown to deliver as well. I didn't think that he was going to be arguably the best receiver in football this year.
I know.
The Eagles, they're rolling. Everybody on that Eagles offense, get involved with them. And I feel like still the Eagles are looking to make a splash. I think the Eagles and the Bills are both looking to make a big splash at the running back position. I think that they're going head-to-head in terms of the trades, and we're going to see which of these 2 teams come away with that piece. I think the Eagles
You think it's Kareem Hunt?
I think Kareem Hunt moves. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of where. We might see Kareem Hunt tonight.
A little Akers action?
We might not.
That's
curious
true.
To see what
guys,
happens with Kareem
keep your
Hunt
eyes
tonight.
on that. Keep your eyes on the usage of one Kareem Hunt today. You might see a little Dearness Johnson tonight,
I think
rather than
Dearness Johnson, which we're going to get to this game later, but I think Dearness Johnson's a decent little investment right now because he's going to see an increased role if Kareem Hunt gets moved, and he's proven that he's viable in that situation.
We shall see. But the Eagles are flying. No pun, little pun. 7-0 are the Eagles, and of course they got the big bad Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football this week. When's the loss? When's that coming?
I don't know. Maybe this week. Thursday night games scare me.
You think the Texans have a shot to beat the Eagles?
No.
Stop bolstering me up. Stop getting me excited about
if
that.
If there is a chance for a bad team to beat a good team, it would be on a Thursday night. I don't like the Thursday night games. I like to stay away from them unless I'm taking the under. Really?
Give me a Friday night game. Shift it a day, and I think it makes all world difference. They're giving you a Black Friday game next year, right? Like, I think a Friday and a Sunday and a Monday. Sure, you have a football weekend. Thursday's too far from Sunday.
Houston, they're a far better team at home. Like a far better team at home.
Listen, for me, I hope Damian Pierce runs.
I'm trying to make some type of realistic expectation that the Texans are going to go.
Once we get to Thursday, we're like, what are we watching?
Against the Eagles, they're not.
No, it's terrible. All right. We haven't mentioned any quarterbacks yet. Until now, a guy that I held on to a little bit. I sold a lot when he went down. I did. But I said, you know what? When he does come back, this is going to shoot through the moon again, and I already had a multiplier on him. And that's Tua. Tua has himself a great game yesterday. 382 yards, 3 touchdowns, 80% completion percentage. He's got Waddle playing out of his mind. He's got Hill underneath. He's got a decent running game behind him, including himself being mobile. He rushes 5 times for 20 yards. He's got 1,600 yards already through, and he missed a bunch of games.
I think he's going to lead the NFL in passing yards when it's all said and done.
It's incredible. And he's 69.9% complete. So he's almost a 70% completion percentage out of Tua. I find it hard pressed not to think that, at a price like this with another 3% jump, and again, for me, it was a little bit more because of the multiplier, which again, very beneficial. If you slap a multiplier on these players, if you think that these guys are going to perform throughout the course of the year, then why not, right? Yes, risk involved because of a bad game or an injury like I did for Trey Lance. Thank you very much. Things happen, but when you look at Tua, you look at a better situation going forward. Those guys are really playing good complementary football right now. They get another big win over a bad Detroit Lions team that kind of had them for a little while. So I look at Tua as an absolute leader in this league. He's going to be leading the league in passing before you know it again. And again, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The market for Tua right now
is dangerously low.
Is very low. Yeah, I mean, look at the upper echelon of quarterbacks, the Rodgers and the Josh Allens and even the Matt Staffords of the world. They're all up in the 80s and the 90s.
I'm looking at
now's
the guys.
Your chance,
we got Goff, Wentz, Jameis Winston. Those are the 3 quarterbacks that are right above him right now in the Mojo market, and then below him is Jimmy G and then Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. So I feel like Tua is still trying to earn some respect from the public. He's got my respect. I think Tua in a year or so is at least going to be in the Jalen Hurts territory, which maybe not that high because that's pretty high right now.
Well, why not? But honestly, why not?
Because right now, if he would have to take a significant jump, I'm like talking like $16 worth. So that's almost like a 50% jump.
What you will get
a little bit.
Well, what you will get out of Tua, more than likely, if the AFC plays out the way it plays out, you might see the Dolphins in the playoffs.
When is Tua's contract year?
I mean, he was drafted. He was a rookie last year.
Was he a rookie last year?
With Fitz?
Second year last
Didn't they like rotate in and out? Or is that 2 years? Am I really dating myself here? But anyway, yeah, as far as Tua goes, because I'm actually very curious to see where I think he's in year 3.
I'm going to find out right now. I'm on his page.
You're on his page. It says it right on the Mojo app.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What does it say? This is big. This is catastrophic stuff.
He's in his third year.
Okay. So the first year he was rotated in and out. Third year quarterback, which is he's on par with Jalen Hurts.
So they're basically going to have to, after this season, decide if they're going to want to give him the 5th year or not.
And I think all signs point to yes, right? You would think that this guy is absolutely delivering the goods. So Tua gets a win. Now they're obviously with all the good we're talking about, and I tried to keep it as positive as I possibly could. But there's a guy that's in this league right now that on the Mojo market, it's ridiculous the hype that was built for this guy, and all of a sudden the hype is gone. And I'm not saying like, oh, let's just tread light. Like, no, gone. And we're talking about Najee Harris. Najee Harris does not look like a running back that should be starting in the NFL. He really does not. And I understand you get away from it because you're down big early, right? The Steelers trailed the Eagles very early in this one. But Najee Harris yesterday, 8 rushes, 32 yards, okay? My God. But why only 8 rushes? You know what I'm saying? Like the usage is down. He got 6 targets. He caught 6 balls for only 26 yards. There was a meme on Twitter that I saw yesterday that they're like, Najee didn't gain any positive yardage on this. And like there was nobody in front of him. What is wrong with Najee Harris? Because now you have him at 361 yards, and he's played in every game. 8 games worth, he's doing nothing. 3 yards a carry, it's just bad. And yesterday, he drops another 5%. And if you went long on him with a multiplier, I feel bad right now because he's just not delivering.
Outside of like the preseason hype that I kind of garnered for
everybody
Najee
did,
Harris,
it's not just you.
After seeing him week 1 and then really looking a little bit deeper, and honestly, I credit Luke Sawhook and Dalton's one of their Twitter spaces that I was sitting there listening, and I got a good insight on Najee Harris, and I started looking at his age in comparison to other running backs that are in year 2's age. And Najee Harris, he has a lot of tread on those tires right now.
Bama, right?
Yeah, he played all 4 years. He had a decent usage at Bama, which...
But didn't he back up a bunch of guys?
It doesn't matter. He's still...
But what I'm saying is like he was never the guy.
They've always had a ton of running backs at Alabama, but look, look at his usage in college. He had a decent amount of carries. Yeah. He comes into the league as like an older version of a running back, and he's 24 or 25 years old already. Most of the guys that are in year 1, year 2, 21, 22 years old, at least nowadays. Najee Harris, he just doesn't look the part. That offensive line is really bad right now. They're doing a decent job protecting the quarterback, but they are not run blocking well at all. So you can combine the fact with that he doesn't really hit the hole as hard as you would like. It almost looks like a Saquon reincarnate of the last 2 seasons where he's been in the lineup not much, but when he has been, you don't see him really being too decisive. I think that Liz Frank injury is actually a real thing where, they took some kind of
brace off him, and he's supposed to be able to be more agile, and it just doesn't seem like it's clicking.
But when you're injured, and when you have no offensive line and you have no quarterback that's going to stretch the field, so like the odds are stacked against Najee Harris. I think that he's a talented player, but he needs the system to be working for him, and right now it's not. Look, Najee Harris, he's only averaged 4.1. He averaged over 4 yards a carry once this season, and it was 4.1. So he's just like barely over once. You're getting the 3-point-something a carry per game. It's not going to get
it. It's 3.3.
Not going to get it done.
It's 3.3, so it's like the low threes. So it's just, I don't know, man. The Steelers are in trouble right now.
Fade Najee.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers are sitting there now at 2-6. Seems like the season's getting away from them right now. Yes, you're going to find out what you got in Kenny Pickett and George Pickens and this young offense. There might be a guy on the move as far as the Steelers are concerned. There's a lot of little, like, tiny whispers about Chase Claypool being on the move. But, like, again, I don't know, man. It's tough sledding right now if you're a Steelers fan and you're watching this Najee Harris guy try to establish himself as RB1, and it's just not happening. And it's just, it's a sad deal. But yeah, so that's your top movers. There's a lot of other stuff that went down yesterday as far
Kamara
as
had 3 touchdowns. I think he overtook Zeke as the number 2 back.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Son of a gun. I didn't know that. That's very upsetting.
You'll be all right.
I mean, my heart won't bleed for it. But what I will say is, Kamara had himself a day. The Jets, yikes. We usually keep it on a local front. And if you want to talk about local right now, fine, let's get there. But it's like, all right, like.
The Jets' offense is in trouble.
Yeah, man. And Zach Wilson is still my guy. I'm still holding strong on him right now, but I don't know anymore.
Was seeing ghosts yesterday.
Yeah,
his boy
dude.
Sam.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you right now, I watched every play of that game. Zach Wilson he wasn't it yesterday. Even at the line of scrimmage, his cadence, he just seemed unsure of himself. I'm being honest. That's the way I got it. I was like, damn, Zach Wilson needs to get it figured out. And I know that he's a young guy, but this team isn't going to wait for him. Right, the team right now, you would see balanced defense. They got the parts. Breece Hall going down really kills them, but not as much as Elijah Vera Tucker. Like, he was running for his life. He had no shot. Judon was in his face every single play.
Red sleeves? Yeah. It's tough sledding for the Jets, and then you flip over to the Giants. While Daniel Jones didn't have himself a bad game, you look at that Giants team with the turnovers that they caused themselves, self-inflicted wounds. But shout out to Geno, man. Shout out to Geno Smith, who actually, I don't know if you heard this on the press conference. Did you hear it? Mm-mm. He thanked Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo for believing in him. So a stab right at the Giants for benching Eli Manning and having him start because he was the better quarterback. He's dropping Lockett dropped a wide open pass, and then he redeemed himself, but it could have been 2. And shout out again Kenneth Walker III. Yeah, he is really something special over there.
He had like a regular day until the fourth quarter. And then he had that touchdown.
Yeah,
saved his day. I mean, Kenneth Walker, don't be surprised if Kenneth Walker has 1,500 yards, total yards by the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just looking around the league one more again before we get to tonight's game. Obviously, the Cowboys take care of business. The Dolphins, we talked about them already. A little bit of Kyler Murray action. He put up a decent number, and I said he would, but they lost the game. So
DeAndre
Hopkins once again just absolutely crushes it. Yeah, so can we talk about real quick before we get into – can we talk about the Raiders offense? What is happening there?
Yeah, I don't know. Josh Jacobs, is he available?
Somebody said on this show that he might get traded at the deadline. So all of a sudden you look at this.
Is Derek Carr available?
I mean,
at this point,
I don't know. But the Raiders right now, again, a lost season. 0-4 on the road. They're 2-5 as a team. It's tough sledding, man. If you're a Raiders fan right now, you got to be looking at yourself in the mirror saying, all right, what's next? What's the next chapter that we can – because – you acquire a guy like Devontae Adams, you expect him to get the ball, and even he blanked. So there's just a bad situation in Vegas right now. So Monday Night Football, let's get to it, right? We got ourselves a very, very good matchup between the Browns and the Bengals. And the reason why I say it's a very good matchup is the fact that, division game rivalry, always there, and both teams absolutely have to have it. With the Ravens playing the way they're playing, separating themselves a little bit in the division lead, the Bengals are sitting there at 4-3, have to have a win. They can tie the division lead if they win. The Browns, we said going into the season, if they could just go, I spoke to many people about this, if they could just go 500 in the absence of Deshaun Watson, they might be in a nice situation. So right now they're sitting there at 2-5. It doesn't look like a nice situation. And by all accounts, when you're looking at this game matchup, they don't really stack up very well against the Bengals. They just don't.
No, I mean, that Browns defense doesn't really stack up well against anybody. You would think going into the season that the defense is going to be the strength with the front that they've had, Clowney and Myles Garrett. They've been in and out of the lineup, and they haven't been able to stop the run even when they're in the lineup. So, I mean, I think Joe Mixon is the guy in this one. You got Jamar Chase out. He avoided the IR, which is huge news for any Jamar Chase investors. And huge news for the Bengals going forward, Joe Burrow, et cetera. Everybody sees an uptick with Jamar Chase in the lineup. But because of their pass catchers, I think Jamar Chase, he changes the game, no question about it, and it's going to make things a little more difficult. But at the end of the day, T. Higgins is a true wide receiver 1, and Tyler Boyd is as good as in any 2 that you're going to see around the league lining up in the slot. I think that even the guys last year, was it Austin?
Yes, there's a yes.
Austin Tate, Auden Tate,
yes.
Auden Tate. He even stepped up. I'm pretty sure he's still there. So I think that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have some continuity with their offense. It's not going to really miss a beat. And Joe Mixon, because of the Cleveland the Cleveland Browns run defense, I think Joe Mixon has a chance to really shine in this one. We've been waiting for his coming out party this year. I think it's tonight.
The Cleveland Browns are giving up 135 on the ground per game, so it's not looking like a good recipe for that. One play I will tell you to kind of just take a look at, and I got a feeling that we'll talk about him tonight on the Twitter Spaces with Luke, and that's Hayden Hurst. I think that there's a big game coming out of Hayden Hurst, especially, again, with Chase out and the targets now with his 10 plus that he would get a game, that's going to be dispersed. And Hayden Hurst being underneath, the Browns have a very hard time doing that and defending the tight end. So I like Hayden Hurst tonight. One guy I'd love to see get going in flipping to the Browns is Amari Cooper. I think that he needs to just step it up tonight. If they have a shot at winning this game at all, they're going to have to do it through the air, as the Bengals are only letting up 119 on the ground. So I mean, while you look at 100 yards, you're like, well, that's a lot. It's not really. When you look at the grand scheme of things, the Bengals' rush defense is a little bit better. So they're going to have something out of Nick Chubb. Maybe you might not see Kareem Hunt. You might see Johnson. It's kind of up in the air right now.
See, it's confusing to me because I feel like you not using Kareem Hunt definitely worsens your chance at winning the football game.
Correct.
3-5 with Deshaun Watson coming back soon.
2-5.
2-5. But if they win this game, they'll be 3-5. Their season's not lost. If they lose this game, then they could effectively trade everybody at this point, right? Anybody that's looking at their contracts and be like, okay, we can get rid of this guy, we get rid of that guy. Anybody that's signed as a one-year deal, the Jadeveon Clowneys of the world, they could be on the block because 2-6
in the AFC, right?
You're not really looking good, and I know that they get the quarterback back, but they expect it to be in a better spot, or at least hope to be. I think Kareem Hunt gets traded maybe even before today's game. Before. I mean, why would if you're going to sit here and say that it's about the compensation, they're going to lose the player in the offseason. There's no doubt on that, right? Kareem Hunt's not going to re-sign. Someone's going to pay him more than what the Browns are going to be willing to pay him to be a supplemental back. So Kareem Hunt's gone. Do they have enough in Dearness Johnson to supplement Nick Chubb? I think they do. I don't think it makes them a far worse team. I think you make that move before the game. There's too much risk in the NFL. And if you hold him out, I think it hurts your leverage a little bit because it shows that you were planning on trading him.
Now, as far as the Mojo market is concerned, would you be in on a Kareem Hunt right now because wherever he lands next might be a better fit for him?
Yeah, because even if Kareem Hunt doesn't get traded, then you have Kareem Hunt as he is right now. I think that maybe because there's a potential that he gets traded, he's seeing an automatic uptick as it stands because of the situation he might go into. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't get traded, then he just regresses back to the mean. I don't think that Kareem Hunt being in Cleveland on one of the most high-powered rushing offenses in football is necessarily a bad spot.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt right now is actually the market's closed as we're recording the show right now, but he's on the uptick a little bit, very, very small. But there's these rumors that he might be shipped out of there real quick. He's right behind Josh Jacobs and Latavius Murray.
Kareem Hunt ends up in Buffalo or Philly, everybody's going to be.
I'm pulling for him to land in Buffalo because I can't do another offensive weapon in Philadelphia. I'm going to go nuts. But hey, listen, Jerry Jones. I don't know if you heard it afterwards. He said he's going all in. So we'll see what that means.
Not for a running back.
No, we don't need a running back. No. We need another receiver. All right. Anyway, that'll do it today for the Mojo Market Report. We have ourselves a very, very good Monday Night Football game tonight. Like I said, we'll talk about their top movers tomorrow. Trade deadline tomorrow. My assumption is that we'll have a lot to talk about as far as what happens overnight. We might wake up to some news. We might, it all depends on how this all plays out. So what you could do is you could follow Mojo by going on the social media, the old social media, to head on over to Twitter, Instagram, and of course, what else? There's one more. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You could do that
and
at
Discord.
Mojo. And of course, join the Discord. We're talking throughout the course of the game. All the experts are there having a good time, trying to see, we're showing off some portfolios. We're seeing who's doing what. I got to make some moves today. I think it was going to be a heavy trade day for me as I am out on a couple of my guys that are just sitting there heavily. And I'm talking to you, Zachy. Like you. I do like you, but now you're starting to cost me money, and that's not cool. You can also head on over to mojo.com for all the in-depth analysis. The bloggers there are fantastic. Be sure to do that. So for Dave Sturchio and, of course, Chris Gueci, this has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. We'll see you back here for the conclusion of Week 8 as we move to Week number 9. Happy Halloween, everybody. Enjoy.